Hello and welcome to the Flop Sports Podcast. It's me, Preston, got Danny, and we've got his high school band. Welcome to episode 9 of the Flop Sports Podcast. It's Preston here, Danny's here. Danny is doing his best Captain Planet impression this week. Danny, tell me about your week.
So I went to the recycling center for the first time in my life because I wanted to get some nickels and some dimes. And I saved up like 2 months worth of water bottles and cans and alcoholic beverage bottles. And I went there.
How much did you get?
What's that?
How much did you get?
Just you wait. I went there and I was like, I'm going to be the king of this place. I'm going to have so much stuff. They're going to like roll out a red carpet for me and be like, man, the recycling king. And I get there, and everyone in the parking lot has like literally thousands of bottles, and I have like 100, and I got like $2.85.
So, not what you anticipated.
No, I didn't anticipate other people would be better at me than something. That's weird.
They are good and better than you. That is for sure. Week here. I was coming home tonight after another long day of work. Was at a women's basketball game earlier today, and decided to get a beer. And then I like to play with my dog, so I was running around the house letting her chase me. And I probably should have put the beer down because I took a pretty big fall and banged my knee on the wall and spilled my beer everywhere. So,
Oh,
but
no.
it's okay because I have another one right here. So beer number 2 or 1.5. 2.0, in fact. 2.0.
Wow.
Better than last. What's not better than the last is this week in DraftKings for me. We had the Saints and the Cowboys, and I don't think that game got a whole lot of notoriety or anything. I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to it. So the Cowboys won. They beat the Saints. And so for people like me who stocked up on a bunch of Saints offensive players, it was a letdown.
Yeah, that's your problem. I had more Cowboys players than Saints, and that's why I finished in DraftKings at 17,000.
And that's why you still didn't make any money.
Yep.
You got me this week though, because I was in the 51,000s. So not a good week. Not a good week for me. But I did have one correct pick, I guess you could say, is Alvin Kamara, because I had him as my captain this week, and Kamara was actually the captain for the 3 people that did win this week that came and tied for first place.
How many points did he get you in the captain slot?
I think he got you like 25, but it was weird because I thought Ezekiel Elliott would get you more.
Yep, I had him in the captain spot.
But none of the winners had him in the captain spot. They all had him, but they just didn't have him in the captain spot. So, we're still trying to figure this thing out, But at least we're remembering to do it, and that's got to be the most important thing. All right, let's get to the big 3 this week. A lot of big storylines this week, and we'll start off with probably the biggest one. The Kansas City Chiefs, obviously a Super Bowl contender, and they will be without their running back, Kareem Hunt, who they cut earlier this week after video surfaced of a domestic dispute, a domestic violence attack that TMZ posted video of. Allegedly, this actually happened a lot earlier in the year, but the video just coming out now by TMZ. The Chiefs acting just about as quickly as all those fantasy owners out there to go grab Spencer Ware by releasing him. And, a lot of people are mixed. Do you applaud the Chiefs for releasing him now, or, waiting for the video to come out and then releasing him?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a super serious podcast. We don't really like to dive into the deep hitting issues, but
Not at all.
Can you believe that Bill Belichick emailed TMZ this tape? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that does not surprise me one bit. We always knew that Bill Belichick was in the the video game per se.
Yep.
He likes to take videos. We just didn't know that he was now a master producer of his videos and selling them out. But yeah, no, seriously, I mean, I think it was the right move by the Chiefs,
Yeah, I
first
agree.
and foremost, and I think anyone can agree with that. And I think earlier today we saw, a lot of anonymous, team sources are coming out and saying that, Kareem Hunt is not going to get picked up, which is the opposite of what happened earlier this week with Reuben Foster, who had yet another run in with domestic violence, and the Washington Redskins went ahead and picked him up and said they're gonna wait to see what happened with the case and everything, and felt like they knew Foster well enough. So kind of two different situations going on with teams right now. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if you saw any of the interview this morning with Lisa Salters that Kareem Hunt had.
No,
he kind of
because just personally, like, I don't really care what he has to say, and unfortunately, it's just like, unfortunately for me, it's like Ray Rice 2.0, and something is only done when a video comes out. So I don't know, it's unfortunate to me that that's what it takes to address these issues. But
No, you're absolutely right. And the Ray Rice situation was handled terribly. At least this one is not as bad.
yeah,
I'll say it's not as bad. Um, but just a quick quote from kind of what he said, explaining the night. He said to Lisa Salters on ESPN, he said it was just a long night. To be exact, it don't really matter what happened. I was in the wrong. I could have took responsibility and made the right decision to find a way to de-escalate the situation. So basically, the Chiefs came out and said they released him because he misled them with information about the case. I mean, bottom line, at the end of the day, what he did in that hotel, it was wrong, and I think whether they made it too late or or they did it right, the Chiefs, I think they made the right decision in the end.
agreed.
All right, moving on to another situation in the NFL just coming out on Sunday. Mike McCarthy is done with the Green Bay Packers. I think Packers fans might be rejoicing with this. Danny, what's your take on the situation?
Yeah, Mike McCarthy, I think, has been under the hot seat with the lack of playoff wins since the Super Bowl, and then the last 2 years, probably going to miss the playoffs this year, missed the playoffs last year, and has not seen a lot of innovation from Mike McCarthy or particularly good roster management. So I get it.
I don't think you've seen a lot of good roster management by the Packers organization at large. Like, this is an organization that doesn't believe in getting free agents, really. Like, this is an organization that thinks, oh, we got to grow everything inside and internally here, and then they miss on all their draft picks for the large part. And, how do you have the best quarterback in the NFL? Sorry, Danny. For right now, he's the best quarterback, okay?
Lies.
For
Lies.
right now. He's got the best tools and everything, all right? How do you have him? How do you have Aaron Rodgers, as Stephen A. Smith would say, a bad man? How do you have Aaron Rodgers and not win more than one Super Bowl, or even be in contention for another Super Bowl? Have they even contended for another one since then?
That's an excellent point. And I've heard it brought up that maybe some of this has to do with the fact that they are publicly owned. They're the only publicly owned team, and maybe because there's not one person making decisions, it may make them they avoid some of the pitfalls of bad owners, but they don't get some of the benefits of a really good owner.
Yeah, I was going to say, I could come right back with you and say the Redskins are owned by one person, and that's pretty much what screws them all the time. So we could play. You go either way here on the scale. Speaking of good teams, though, good teams in the NBA, huge showdown earlier this week. The Toronto Raptors, best team in the East versus the presumed best team in the West and best team in the NBA because they're Golden State. And Toronto coming up big, getting that win, even with KD going for 50 points. Toronto still comes out on top. Just your initial impressions. Do you think Toronto is the best team in the NBA right now after that result?
I don't think they're the best team in the NBA. I still think it's the Warriors, and having said
that's called West Coast bias, Danny. Come on, man.
But I think that was a big win for them mentally because they're a team that's known for choking against good teams in the fourth quarter. The fact that they were able to pull it out is a big win. Kawhi's looking really good. But no, I don't think they're the best team.
Well, that's one man's opinion. No, I agree. I think Golden State will get it back, and that's especially with Steph Curry and Draymond Green getting back into the fold, and as we'll talk about a little bit later, DeMarcus Cousins possibly getting back in the fold. But Kawhi Leonard, we talked about Popovich's comments last week that called him not a leader, pretty much. What did he have to say this week about that? Because we finally got to hear from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, he responded crazy. He's speaking to the media now, and he said, I quote, "It's just funny to me. I don't know if he's talking about last year or not. I guess when you stop playing, they forget how you lead."
Yeah, I wasn't fully sold. I love Pop, obviously, but I think he might be a little bit salty.
Yeah,
Well,
he's a salty man.
Rubbing the salt, the salt man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he might be a little salty after that, because I think Kawhi Leonard is a leader. I think if you're a star player in this league, you have to be a leader. You're expected to be a leader, and I don't think we've seen the Spurs get to the heights with him, and now with the Raptors without him being a leader. But leaders do make bad decisions, Danny, and none worse than Kawhi Leonard's new shoe deal, which makes him look even more like an old man, to go along with that laugh.
Yeah, he has decided on what shoe company he wants to go with, and that's a multi-year deal with New Balance.
Wow.
I don't know if a lot of people have in the NBA have shoe deals with New Balance, but he's almost leaning into his image. Like, he picked the most boring shoe brand he could pick.
Do you think that's intentional, or do you think he's just unaware?
I don't know. Either way, it's really funny that he did that.
Yeah, some of the tweets that were out there, the Kawhi Leonard starter pack from NBA on TNT, you've got the old, gosh, I don't even know that's a Chevy. It's just a really old. I mean, everyone's had this car or seen this car.
Yeah.
An old car. The old white New Balance kicks. I hope that's what he's gonna wear on the court. Like the typical dad with the white socks and the jeans and the white New Balance kicks with the navy blue New Balance logo.
Maybe he will tap into the over 40 crowd of the most popular shoe if you're over 40.
I mean, there's definitely a crowd for that. I mean, you go to the YMCA on any given weekend, and those guys need kicks too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yahoo Sports NBA, where are New Balance basketball shoes even sold? That's a good question.
That is a good question.
And then just to go right with it, a Twitter handle at Nick Yokoyama. The line outside the New Balance store when the Kawhi ones drop. It's basically a voting line, which means just a bunch of old people standing in line. That's all great stuff, because that's exactly what it's going to be. So good job, Kawhi. But the Raptors are hot right now. I want to ask you this real quick. This is something I saw last night. Steve Kerr saying they played the Pistons on Saturday night this past week, and they lost. And after the game, he said that was one of my worst performances as a coach. What do you think about Kerr coming out and saying this to the media after a game like that?
I'm curious what he means by that, because the general implication is that he's put the system in place and his coaching is pretty personnel management, not strategy anymore. So
yeah.
What did you do wrong?
Yeah, I mean, basically they're talking about, he was saying we got to get better shots, we got to get more spacing, get better flow. And I think a big part of this is, Draymond Green's not there, Steph Curry's not there. Those are your two main facilitators right there. So if you don't have those two guys out on the court, consistently, that's going to change things. I mean, Steph Curry was playing in that game after he missed 11 games with a groin injury, but they still couldn't hit a three-pointer to save their lives. But it's I like the comment by Kerr, but obviously, I think there is some coaching to go along with some of the Warriors' struggles this season. And they just got to find a new way, just like, the Boston Celtics. They got to find a new way.
Yeah, maybe they should bring KD off the bench. That might be a good idea.
Hey, I'm open to new innovative ideas. All right, Mike McCarthy. All right, I can do something different. If it's broke, you got to do something different, right? All right, let's get into the NFL now. Of course, as always, we'll start with the New England Patriots because I have no choice on this podcast.
True.
Truth. Your boy Tom Brady setting a new all-time record by being just the slowest quarterback ever.
Yeah, he's been setting all kinds of records. Most recently, as in today, hit the 1,000-yard mark rushing, which is incredible because all he does is goal line sneaks. So that was fantastic.
It was his 1,000th goal line sneak.
Yep. Last week he broke some of the bigger records with yards and touchdowns. But he's just trucking along. He's gonna break every record by the end. It's all good.
Yeah, I good for him. I was actually watching ESPN earlier this week. It was NFL Live, and Julian Edelman was on the show, and he was saying he was not sure if Tom Brady was going to be able to get it because also you got to take into account Tom Brady's got a lot of kneel downs in his career.
Oh, that's true. He could go backwards.
Exactly. He might hit it and then go back next week.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's smart.
This is a record that may not stand.
You're thinking outside the box. Or he'll break it multiple times.
Oh, just keep going back and forth and back and forth. I like it. I got to remind you that, earlier in my career, or early in my fandom, I rooted for a guy who ran for 1,000 yards in one season as a quarterback. Yeah, so.
Donovan McNabb?
But no, Michael Vick. You do have way more wins in Super Bowls, though, and Michael Vick is still in Atlanta, coaching in a minor league football league. So
that's great.
That's good for him.
Mentoring the youth.
I have to say, I dislike Bill Belichick a little bit more today. And you probably love him a little bit more today after the not so nice words that he gave to Adam Thielen. I saw this tweeted out earlier today, but kind of give us a PG version of it.
Yeah, long story short, Bill Belichick and the refs, Billy B as I call him, they were having some words. Adam Thielen comes up, and Billy B is like, "Get the blank out of here, man," and it's just all right on camera.
Yep, that's Bill Belichick.
He did it to him. He's not afraid.
Yeah, I just did
it. But speaking of coaches, we had a team that just fired their incredibly competent offensive coordinator, Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, it's about time that they did that. Not that this week really changed much, but at least they tried a little bit.
Hey, they did win this week after firing him.
Yeah, Blake Bortles.
They only put up 6 points, but they won the football game.
Yeah.
I'm loving the Ian Rappaport kind of description of what happened. He thought he was going in to talk a quarterback change. Instead, he was out. Wasn't anything negative. Marone just decided to make a move. I guess he didn't think I was good enough. That's the only thing I can think of. It's a shock. I knew Doug had thought about it. I guess the football gods had it out for me. We started off hot and had so many injuries. We were a completely different team. Guys busted their butts, but you can do only so much. I wish I could have figured something out.
All I took out of that was that it was the football gods' fault and injuries' fault, but not his fault at all.
That's Danny. This is elementary, my dear Watson. But yeah, I mean, they're talking about the quarterback change. They eventually did the quarterback change, and today they get a win. So
yeah, how many yards? Let's see. Cody Kessler had 150 yards, so he did better than Drew Brees, but not by much.
Dang it, Drew Brees. Killing me this week.
I guess.
I also had...
Sorry, yeah, I guess, they won. They beat the Colts, so maybe they did something
You gotta...
right.
When you're talking about the Jaguars and this horrendous season that they are putting everyone through, you gotta look for the silver lining. Like, they were everyone's favorite, little Super Bowl pick and, whatever, and, instead they give you this season. They're 4-8. Technically, I mean, I know the Texans are hot right now, but technically, I mean, they're not out of the playoff race. They could still win their division.
I love your optimism. They can win
Mr. Optimistic over here. That's what I do.
They can win every game.
How about our boy OBJ up in New York? What's he up to? What inanimate object is he hugging this time?
It's definitely not Eli Manning, considering that he has now thrown.
Although Eli Manning is an inanimate object, I just want to make that clear that that's what you meant by that.
Yes, I did, because OBJ has now thrown more passes of at least 20 yards than Eli Manning has this year. That's sad. I feel sad.
Sad, but is it surprising?
Or is it impressive that an inanimate object could throw the ball over 20 yards?
That's what I'm saying. Like, Eli Manning is an inanimate object because, once you snap it to him, he can't move in the pocket. So, is he living? We're not sure. So, good job, OBJ. Love the effort out there. Never doubted your effort out on the field. Not once.
You can't doubt his effort.
Never lost, as my good friend LeVar Ball would say. How about Baker Mayfield? Just staying in the news, as always.
Yeah, still taking shots at Hugh Jackson. He's just not happy with the man. He does not like him and called him fake this past week. So, yeah.
A lot of people were after Hugh Jackson got fired, and then he took this job with Cincinnati. A lot of people were comparing Baker Mayfield's transfer from Texas Tech to Oklahoma as the same thing, and Baker pretty much says, "No, you're wrong."
Yeah, you can't use logic when you're trying to debate.
Yeah, you can't use logic. I gotta disagree with Baker. I love Baker. I'm feeling pretty dangerous when I woke up this morning. Not really, actually. I felt terrible, but I did not get enough sleep, so I did not feel dangerous this morning. But I love Baker. All right, I love him, and yeah, I think Mayfield. He's definitely the future for this organization. But like, dude, you're just flat out wrong here. I mean, you transferred from Texas Tech to go to Oklahoma because you couldn't get enough playing time. This man lost his job, and he had to get another job to support his family. So Baker. I know you're feeling dangerous every morning, but maybe just cool the jets a little bit on this one. Speaking of Hugh Jackson, let's go over to Cincinnati.
Excellent segue. Yeah, so he has brought the bad luck charm with him this year, that's for sure. Andy Dalton injured, out for the year. They now have signed Tom Savage, and Jeff Driscoll is starting for them. And in fact, they might be in a good spot to get a good draft pick, potentially top 10 or 15 if they can continue tanking the rest of the way.
Yeah, but then what's next for them? Because they've already talked about, firing Marvin Lewis and hiring Hugh Jackson as the head coach next year. So, I mean, you can get the number one pick for all I care, but I don't think I think there's more problems going on in that Cincinnati Bengals organization. Like, how do you let Marvin Lewis be there? All right, I don't want to get on that. But, yeah, I mean, they got some decent players there. They got A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. But, I mean, are you trying to tell me there's a bright future for the Bengals in store?
Yeah, I think they've got a great future of losing in the first round every year for the rest of their life.
Yeah, well, that's just, no. All right. We will. I don't think they do. I mean, the Steelers are still tough in that division. I think the Browns will be better than the Bengals next year. Actually, the Browns might be better than the Bengals right now. But Anyway, I digress. We saw the Browns beat them last week, and I think the Browns are only going to get better now that Hugh Jackson's gone, and now that Hugh Jackson is in. You can't have a bright future, Danny, if Hugh Jackson's on your coaching staff. That's just the plain
Unless he's
simple.
your head coach.
No, that's exactly when you don't have a bright future. All right. Anyway, Thursday night we talked about it. Just a dreadful game. It was great to see the Saints lose. That was the best part, but fantasy-wise, DraftKings-wise, it was terrible. It was definitely, I think, the worst game by far for Drew Brees this year, but did the Cowboys really make a big statement getting this win over the Saints?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Cowboys needed this win. They're trying to go 8-8 and win the division, and you can't do that if you lose to the Saints. But seriously, the defense actually made a huge statement. I can't believe they held the Saints to 10 points, and Ezekiel Elliott, as usual, carried the team on the ground and ran the clock out, and it was a big win for them.
The thing they're doing is they're getting back to what makes them so good with this personnel. When DeMarco Murray had his big season and the Cowboys were, at their highest, or when Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott were rookies, what made them good was they rode the ground game. Dak Prescott made the plays that they needed to win, and the defense was rock solid. And I think this defense now is better than the defenses they've had in the past. And so I know they got off to a rough start this year, and everyone was ready to see Jason Garrett's head roll. They were ready to see Jerry Jones's head roll. You can't really fire your owner, but they wanted to. But now you look at the future for this defense and the present. Honestly, Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith might be one of the best two young linebackers in the NFL. I've for the past 4 weeks I've voted for them in my Pro Bowl ballots because I vote at least once a week, weekly, because I'm dedicated like that. Someone's got to vote for at least one Falcons player.
You're a real fan. You use the voting system to your advantage.
Always, never lost. But
yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
No, do you have anything else you want to say to the Cowboys, or can I move on?
No, I think. Can you move on from the Cowboys? Absolutely not. We're going to talk about the Cowboys for the rest of the show. No, but with the Saints, the big thing is they keep having these games where the offense sputters out or something goes wrong, and it's kind of concerning. Are they just? Can you not trust the Saints? And I think that's a big question that you got to ask right now.
Yeah, I mean, I said it last week. You wanted to know if the Saints were the best team in the league, and I was like, I don't think so because of this that just happened.
You're right. I'll give it to you.
But someone that is looking like one of the best teams in the league, Houston Texans.
I wouldn't go that far. All right, but go ahead. Proceed.
Have now won 9 in a row. They beat the top-tier Cleveland Browns today. Dangerous Baker Mayfield. And it's been a pretty impressive turnaround. I read statistically they did something that's never been done before, which is they started 0-3, and now they've won 9 straight. Previously, the most was 7 straight. But the point is, it's been a really impressive turnaround for them. Specifically offensively, the defense has been really solid. The offense started the year off abysmally and it's really turned around, especially with the offensive line in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've always thought the Texans had, I think they always had, what it took to be one of the better teams in the league. And it was just, Deshaun Watson coming back from injury and, trying to get, him back worked into the game. They've had some other injuries throughout the year. They're just getting J.J. Watt back, this season. So it was a lot of, shaking the rust off in those first 3 games when they started off so poorly. But this team has the weapons. Lamar Miller's actually looked like a good running back on the ground again this year. Through the air, they've got options with DeAndre Hopkins. And now Demaryius Thomas actually looks like Demaryius Thomas again.
Yeah, he looks, he still drops half the balls thrown at him, but he at
That's
least
Demarius Thomas though.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're gonna get Demarius Thomas with your Demarius Thomas.
yeah,
You can't
exactly.
get a Demarius Thomas combo without the side of Demarius Thomas drops.
Yeah, I was reading an article about their offensive line on Bleacher Report, and their blindside protector, Julian Davenport, to start off the season, I think through the first like 6 weeks, was essentially the worst blindside protector in the entire league. He surrendered 42 pressures. He's only 23, so it makes sense, but
So he's not in line for the Blindside 2, the sequel.
no, definitely not. He would not save you in a car crash. Absolutely not.
Dang
But I think that explains a lot of their struggles offensively, and part of the reasons, like I said, the O line getting much better. They're looking like a better team. I'm still amazed they've won 9 in a row. That's crazy, but
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Right now, they are sitting in the third spot right now for the playoffs. They are, right there, tied with the Patriots, but because of stupid tiebreakers, and I think the fans should vote, and the fans should vote the Texans above the Patriots. But I think the Patriots should have to be a wild card team from now on. Like that's just what I think. Yeah, that's
actually,
one man's opinion.
that actually is a good idea. It'd be hilarious if there's a tie. They just open voting for 1 hour, and everyone gets to vote for who should get the seed.
Again, Danny, this is what we do. We get better every week, and we innovate, unlike Mike McCarthy. So look at your playoff standings right now. You got the Chiefs number 1, Patriots number 2, and then in the wild card round spots, you got the Texans. They would host the Ravens. That's the 3-6 matchup, and then the Steelers would host the Chargers. Coincidentally enough, those teams are playing as we speak. And Pittsburgh's, already up big, but you never know. So looking at that, your 2 wild card teams in the AFC right now are the Ravens and the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I know you like the Ravens a lot. Why do you like the Ravens? Why do you think they are a dangerous wild card team?
All right, here's the thing: the Ravens are tough. They'll hurt you on the field. They live in Baltimore. They walk to practice.
That's where the wire was.
Exactly. No, but this is a team where the defense is always gritty. They're well coached. They have a quarterback that's going to be hard to defend. He can run the ball and kind of change things up. And defense still.
I really like Joe Flacco.
Lamar Jackson, thank you very much. He can't throw, but he can do the run throw combo like Tebow, as we talked about. But yeah, I just think I don't trust the Chargers. I think they're the Clippers of football, so I just can't go with them.
That is accurate, but I think they're a better team. Right now, they're not doing well against the Steelers right now, but I really like what the Chargers have going. That's why I think they're the more dangerous of the wild card teams. Phillip Rivers is a good, tried and true quarterback. He's not a rookie, and he's not Joe Flacco. All right, that's already point 1 for the Chargers. Getting Melvin Gordon back, you got to remember, the Chargers don't have Melvin Gordon for this game against Pittsburgh. If he is healthy for the playoff time, that is a top 5 running back in the league that you have at your disposal, plus Phillip Rivers in the passing game, plus a defense that can get pressure on the quarterback when healthy, when Joey Bosa's out there, when Melvin Ingram's out there, when they've got the guns fully blazed and loaded. So I think the Chargers are definitely a team that can get a win on the road. Now, if they have to play the Steelers on the road and it's snowing outside and whatever, I don't know if the Chargers can win that kind of game. But I don't know if the Ravens could, I guess, in theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're damn right they can.
All right, in the NFC real quick, Rams first, Saints second now, and Redskins are the 6th seed. They would Bears would host the Redskins in the 3-6 matchup, and then the Cowboys would host the Seahawks in this matchup. You like the Seahawks. I like a team that is currently sitting just outside the playoffs in this projections.
Yes, so I like the Seahawks almost for similar reasons that you said about the Chargers, except that they actually apply to the Seahawks. And they have a great quarterback, but they have a great quarterback who actually performs in the playoffs and doesn't choke in the fourth quarter. And they
Well,
also they also have a gritty defense, and they're well coached, regardless of what you think of the guy, of Pete Carroll.
oh no, I
And
love Pete Carroll, but I disagree. I don't think that defense is nearly as good as you think it is anymore.
I think it's better than people think it is.
No.
And on top of that, at least right now, they'd be playing the Cowboys. Easy win.
Well, I guess that has some merit to it, but I like the Redskins a lot. No, I'm absolutely kidding. I do not like the Redskins one bit. I thought the Redskins immediately fell off the face of the NFL after Alex Smith got hurt. But I like the Vikings, and we'll have to see what happens with the Redskins against the Eagles. I mean, they very well could lose, and then the Vikings are right back into move ahead of them in the playoff picture. This is the reason I like the Vikings. This is the same Vikings team that everyone liked as a possible Super Bowl contender coming into this year. They're the same team. The difference is it's taken a while for them to gel. Everson Griffin has been out. Kirk Cousins has had some bad games here and there. Dalvin Cook hasn't looked the same all the time. But they have a dangerous core of receivers. They've got Adam Thielen, Mister, what up, Bill Belichick? They've got Stephon Diggs. They've got Kyle Rudolph. So that's a good receiving core. They've got a good defense. So I think the Vikings are a really dangerous team, especially if they're playing someone like the Bears or the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that the Bears are a team that I see making the playoffs, having a lot of hype around them, and then choking, just like the Rams did last year against my beloved Falcons. Like, I think they're very similar to that. New hotshot coach with a great offense. They've got a tough defense, and they get to the playoffs and they just choke away. I love the Bears, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that's kind of what they are. So I think the Vikings are a team that could definitely make a run in these playoffs.
That's a good point. Personally, I think they overperformed last year, and this year they're reverting to the mean. But I do agree. I think they have a good chance to potentially have an upset in the first round.
True words never spoken. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back after the break with, of course, your top NBA storylines this week. Not a lot going on, but just enough for us to talk about it. That's coming up next.
All right, guys, thanks for holding out for that break from Brita Water. They've been a true steady sponsor of ours.
For decades now.
Since before they existed. But
since before we existed. Not as a podcast, but as humans.
NBA storylines. First up, we have Boogie eyeing his return after Christmas. What are your thoughts on this, Preston?
I think this is always kind of the ideal timeline for him to come back. And look, I think on one side, Boogie is trying to push himself to come back sooner and sooner, and the Warriors are like, hold off. Like, I think the Warriors would be much happier with having him back just in the playoffs. But I think Boogie really wants to get back out there and play now and show people, he's still Boogie Cousins, which I don't think he will be, but so basically, they say Cousins can regain his conditioning and enter the lineup at peak form. That's kind of what they're hoping for. And that's why I think this might be a little bit longer than Christmas. So I think it'll be maybe February until we actually see Boogie out there.
Yeah, Christmas actually sounded kind of early to me. I was surprised if they get him then. That'd be a huge boost to the team.
Yeah, I think it's all hearsay and blah blah whatever. Blah.
Blah 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 reporting.
I mean, why are we even talking about them? Because they're not the number one team in the West.
True. Number one team in the West right now is actually a tie between the Nuggets and the Clippers, both at 15-7.
Forget the Nuggets. It's just the Clippers.
My boy Doc Rivers got his team winning 9 of his last 10. That's incredible.
we talked about them before, but this is just a really good team. So, like, give them some respect. Like, Boban is an MVP caliber player.
Oh man.
I can't remember who said it off the top of my head, but someone was saying, it was DeAndre Ayton after the Clippers beat the Suns. It was one of DeAndre Ayton's worst games as a pro, and he said, why would I try to backing down Boban? Like, the man is gigantic, and I agree with DeAndre. And DeAndre's a big guy himself, but Boban is 7'3", 291 pounds. DeAndre Ayton, just for comparison's sake, is, I believe, 7'1", 250 pounds. So also a really big guy, and he's not even going to try and back down Boban.
Yeah, that is very funny.
These are the facts. Okay, these are the facts.
Did you see the other night that a Knicks player, Mario Hezonja, I assume I butchered that, but
Mario Hezonja. And yes, I did see this despicable act.
He stepped over Giannis. Said his name correctly. Stepped over Giannis. Stepped over Giannis. I was shook that he did that. Wow, disrespectful.
Just after we talked about last week about, the Seahawks receiver Tyler Lockett doing the Allen Iverson step over, and then I see this garbage, At one time, the NBA had some class, At one time, a long time ago, I don't even remember when it was, but at some point they had class. And, like, Mario Hezonja, you are a, bust of a player. The reason you're in New York is because your team that drafted you, Orlando, gave up on you. And you didn't even dunk on Giannis. Giannis was trying to block you from behind, and he fell down trying to block you. Like, you don't have any right to do it. When AI stepped over Ty Lue, that's after he crossed him over and hit a jump shot in his face.
Yeah.
That's completely different. I might be biased here because I love Giannis and I'm a Bucks fan, but Mario, you lost a lot of respect in my book. I was rooting for you, and now you're dead to me.
No, but it's funny because I'm all for showboating and having bravado, but you have to earn it, and then you do it. You don't do it when you didn't earn it.
That's what I'm saying. He is a bust player that's on his last legs in New York. He's having a pretty decent time in New York too, but don't go and do this, because now I am just so ready for the next time the Bucks and the Knicks play each other, because Giannis has a little bit of something coming your way, Mario. He is gonna punch you so hard in the groin. Like, he's going to obliterate you. And you know what? The next time they meet, Danny, do you know when they play each other next?
When?
Christmas Day.
Ooh, that's going to be some scandalous television.
For all to see. Everyone's after they open their gifts, everyone's crowded around the TV to watch, Superman take off and fly, and they see Superman get in a cheap shot on the little Mario Hezonja.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So someone who had some different type of movement in the NBA this week, Cleveland Cavaliers traded Kyle Korver back to Utah, where he played previously. What do you think of this move?
Yeah, they needed to trade Kyle Korver at some point, and I think Cleveland, I think they got a good deal out of it. I mean, what are you going to get for Kyle Korver at this stage? Yeah, he's a good shooter. He's 37 years old though, so I don't know what more you could have gotten, but I think it's a good move, and it's the move they had to make.
Yeah, and I think it's actually a really good move for Utah, who's been struggling and does not have enough shooters on the floor. So I think it'll actually be really good for them to have someone who can shoot the three off the bench.
The crazy thing is, someone was saying that Alec Burks, who went the other way to Cleveland in this deal, is expected to be traded again this season.
Good.
So just no rest for the former Jazz young players, No
rest for the wicked.
No rest for them. Sorry, guys.
So your boy LeBron James.
LeBron.
In a classic LeBron move, it has been reported he is ignoring Luke Walton's play calls.
Yeah, because what plays, what star player doesn't do this? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I can guarantee, like, a ton of people do this. And look, here's the facts. Like, they have been playing better when LeBron James has been playing point guard. Like, LeBron didn't want to play point guard when he got to LA, but guess what? The team's better when you're doing it. So I don't think this is any surprise. Like, I don't think it's a lot of plays, right? Like, maybe a play here and there, but
maybe
like
play.
He's done this before. Like, the coach will start drawing up a play. I remember David Blatt would start drawing up a play, and he'd be like, "No, that's stupid." Maybe not in those words, but pretty much that's what he would say.
Yeah, but also it's like, when was the last time that LeBron did use a coach's play? Like, he is a coach. We all know this.
I think he uses them, and then when they don't work for him, he makes a point out of it and starts doing his own thing. That's just,
but you are right. It is working. They've won 7 in their last 10. They're over 500. They're in the playoffs right now. So keep doing what you're doing, Bronny.
It's working. One of his former teammates, Kendrick Perkins. Yeah, he's still around, and he still wants to play in the NBA. Danny, get this garbage out of here.
I was shocked by this because he hasn't even really played for like 3 years. He's just sat on the bench.
Yeah,
and
now he's like, yeah.
Now he's like, I want to play again. He must be a big gambler. That's all I have to say.
He's waiting for 10-day opportunities. Look, the best you're going to get is you're going to get a Cleveland-type situation where you can come sit on the bench again. I'm sure he would love that because, he probably wants money. And that's the best way to get it, by sitting on the bench of the NBA.
I would do it.
So normally Danny comes up with these questions for us. These, our question of the week, what NBA player would you want to have a drink with, or, who would you want in a fight, or something like that. But this week we had the honor of Klay Thompson providing our question for us when, he was asked earlier this week who he would want if he was stranded on an island. What NBA players would he want with him if he was stranded on an island? He picked Steven Adams, which I'm insanely jealous of because that would have been my first pick. And his reason why is great because he looks like Aquaman, so he'd be well versed in the ocean stuff.
Yep.
That's exactly why I would want Steven Adams too. Like, he is Aquaman. All right. Steph Curry, because he's a good critical thinker and solves problems really well. That's the boring answer. And then he picked Karl Malone because he's a good hunter. So, and he has huge elbows to knock some animals out. Like, this is perfect. We need to have Klay Thompson on the podcast because clearly he gets these questions.
Yeah, so Klay Thompson needs to be on the show. He's one of us. I'm going to reach out to his agent ASAP. We'll be here tomorrow.
Do it. Yep, do it.
So
he just gets it.
I will start off with my crew. So here's my crew, and I've thought about this a lot.
Okay.
First, I have Isaiah Thomas. All right, we're the same height, so we're gonna be friends. We'll bond over our height, right?
Okay.
I have Paul George because he likes to fish a lot, so he's gonna get all of the food. So I have a friend and I have a gatherer, right? And then lastly, I have Andre Drummond. He's gigantic, right? So worst case, Paul George can't catch any fish. We have to resort to cannibalism. Drummond will last us like 2 years.
I hear the drums, the drumsticks on Drummond are great. All right, my 3, I've got Giannis because he's Superman. Before you say Dwight Howard is Superman, he got a broke butt. Superman ain't got no broke butt, okay? Giannis is Superman.
He's a fake.
Fake? No. So, like, if he needs to fly us off the island for any reason, like, we could do that easily. Chris Paul, because this is my Steph Curry type. He's very resourceful and he's smart. And I think he'd be, just a cool guy to chill with,
Really, really quick, if you guys built a raft and decided to leave and it was too heavy, Chris Paul would push you off that raft.
Not if I pushed him off first. And then my last one is De'Aaron Fox. And my reasoning behind this is whatever animal is on the island, they're not going to be able to outrun De'Aaron Fox. He'll just catch them, and he'll be our hunter-gatherer type, our Karl Malone, except he's actually fast and athletic.
That's a good point.
Good point made by all.
Yep. Thank you, Klay Thompson, for the assist on the question of the week.
His first assist of the season.
We will be right back after this break for Tim Tebow and other stuff. Stick around.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. We've got to get into this Tim Tebow update of the week, provided by Danny's mom.
Both the updates are fantastic. First of all, as we know, thanks to this podcast, Tim Tebow's been dating a Miss Universe for quite some time, and
she obviously heard of him off the podcast.
That's how they met. According to TMZ, things could be getting serious since he took her to his family's Thanksgiving. We all know what that means.
Good food. Yeah.
And maybe a wedding ring or an engagement ring.
All right, get to the real update, Danny, that your lovely mom provided us.
Also, my mom sent us an update because he's having an event in Florida, like a couple minutes from her house. Like, I saw billboards there when I was home for Thanksgiving. So she sent me this on Facebook and was like, you got to put this in the podcast. So
it's in the podcast.
It's in the podcast now. Thanks, Mom. He's having a big rally, a big revival style rally in Florida.
Beautiful. Appreciate that.
Next up, we have Elon update for it's now men's basketball time since football is over. Preston, how did we fare this week?
Terrible. Next.
Yeah, we did lose, but let me shout someone out real quick.
There's no kickers on the basketball team, Danny.
I know, but we have somebody by the last name of Pretty, a guard. Pretty, I'll learn your first name next week. You went 0 for 7 from the field.
One name at a time, Pretty. One name at a time.
But you went 2 for 2 on your free throws. 100%. Good job.
100%, 70% of the time. Some Recs of the Week, Danny. I see that you have got us full of Recs of the Week. Let me just plug one more time. I think I've talked about them before, but ESPN 30 for 30 podcast. And Danny, I've got you to listen to them, and now I got to get everyone else to listen to them because they are phenomenal. They just started a new season this week. Going back to kind of their old traditional model, they've got some great stories about the 2003 World Series of Poker, kind of the first time ESPN ever broadcasted that. Very interesting. I don't know a thing about poker, and I was fascinated by it. Also, Hideo Nomo, one of the first Japanese players to come over after the ban that was created between Japan and the MLB. Also a good story. So I mean, they got plenty. So just go listen to them after you listen to us.
Yeah, enter promo code Preston Willet for 50% off your ESPN podcast listening.
50% off your free podcast. It's worth every penny.
My Recs of the Week. Bleacher Report has an article out about being an NBA broadcaster and how precarious that can be with star players. Good read. I was listening to Ryan Russillo's podcast, which I normally don't listen to. Sorry, Ryan. But he had Bill Simmons and Colin Cowherd on, and it was really awkward and uncomfortable.
Wow.
And I really enjoyed that.
That's quite the pair to have on.
Yeah, it was strange, but it was good. And then also the Ringer had a piece out on the best non-QB throwing pass throwers in the NFL.
Give us one of them.
Well, obviously OBJ was number one, but we also had Edelman, my boy Edelman, and Amendola made the list.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Hecker, the punter for the Rams, made it. So
don't give the whole thing away. I just asked for one. Come on, man.
Yeah, but I wanted to give 4.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Instagram update of the week. I'm going to sneak one thing in there that we didn't get to mention before. This incredible stat that comes to us from the Ringer NBA. The last time Ben Simmons made a three-pointer in a competitive game, Barack Obama was president, LeBron was on the Cavs, Vine was up and running, and Hello by Adele was number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. That was November 30th, 2015, when Ben Simmons was on the LSU Tigers in college. Hasn't made one in his NBA career. Has not.
Has he taken one?
He has not taken one this season.
That's a crazy stat. Also makes me feel old, but also a crazy stat.
I mean, it's not even that old. I mean, it's not that old.
It's 5 years ago.
And yes, he has taken 11 in his career, all last season, where he went 0 for 11. So
Wow.
There you have it. Yeah, Ben Simmons can't shoot.
Clearly, in my Instagram updates, just the classic Tom Brady 60-second fake documentary about his journey to 1,000 rushing yards. Worth a watch.
So good. All right, who do we got this week for the sign-off?
All right, let me pull up the timer right now, and who should we have? Dun, 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 dun. I have no idea. Who do you want to do?
I'm saying Mario Hezonja. Yeah.
Mario
Hezonja. Let's let that joke get a little bit more.
All right, timer starting now. Mario Hezonja is putting new roofing tiles on the New York Knicks building stadium.
Madison Square Garden.
MSG.
Then he's getting some help from some other people he knows, and a very tall, long man wearing a Superman cape comes walking by and takes one giant step over him as he's laying down more roof tiles.
And the Superman figure proceeds to finish all of the tiles except for one, which Hezonja quickly hammers in the last one and then takes credit for the entire roof.
And says he's not a bust, but we all know he is. And then Giannis punches him in the groin.
Oh,
that's the finish.
That's the finish. Wanted.
That's the finish we wanted. Yeah. All right, guys. That is all we have for this week. Of course, it always ends terribly with our story. But, as we say on the podcast, always getting better. Always getting better. And that's pretty much it because, that's all we got. That's all we got to look forward to. So, Danny, thanks again this week. We will be back next week with another podcast. And so stay tuned till then.
Thanks, guys. Drink Brita.